I think so, yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody who is here with us, as well as some people that may be watching on our YouTube channel. We want to welcome you all. And so I'll be trying to speak in both English and Hindi as well, for those who may not follow any of these languages, but may know a little bit of both. Anyway, today we are talking about something which is relevant. I know we've been talking about the second coming of Jesus Christ. We've been talking about rapture. We've been learning what the scriptures teach us. But we want to take a break from that. It is about the future. It is about the second coming. It is about something that is about to happen. हम लोग प्रभु यीशु मसीह के दोबारा आगमन, कलीसिया के उठाए जाने के विषय में अब तक सीख रहे थे, लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा आज हम नहीं उसमें जाएंगे, लेकिन कुछ और चीज़ जो हमारे आसपास हो रही है उसके ऊपर हम ध्यान देना चाहते हैं, जो हमारे संदर्भ में हो रही है उसको हम देखना चाहते हैं. So what is happening around the world or around us, very close to us? And that is a topic about race, ethnicity, and our faith. नस्ल, हिंदी में बताना मुश्किल है इन दोनों शब्दों को, लेकिन नस्ल या कौन से हमारा वर्ण शब्द का इस्तेमाल किया गया है हिंदी में. वर्ण, हमारे कौन सी जाति है, हमारे कौन सा वर्ण है, और हमारा विश्वास उसके बारे में क्या सिखाता. What is our race? What is our ethnicity? And what does our faith teach? जो we need to talk, or why do we need to talk about this, is because of things that have happened recently in the States, not very far from our borders, in Minneapolis. I don't need to go into the detail. I wanted to show the video. If you haven't watched the video, I recommend that you do watch, because of the voices in there, what is happening, let that sink in. And then we as Christians to talk about it. हमारे मसीहों को, हमारे विश्वासियों को ये जो हमारे चारों तरफ हो रहा है उसको देखने की ज़रूरत है, उसको एनालाइज करने की ज़रूरत है, और बाइबल से फिर सीखने की ज़रूरत है. We need to not avoid it, but look right into the eye as Christians, as believers, and ask the right questions. If you remember last week, our message was on pain, pandemic, and God. And the God that we see in the Bible is one who doesn't run away from brutality, from violence, from pain, from suffering, but we see him as a God who suffers. And so when we see such brutality, such dehumanization, such taking away somebody's life like that, we need to pause rather than escape from this and find something else to do, entertain us, but look right into the eye, right into the evil, like Jesus did. And then evaluate our faith. What is our faith? What do we do about it? How do we tackle this? What does our faith teach us? So that's why, whether you like it or not, I'm being led to bring this topic up, because it's been quite disturbing and it's maddening. And it is not something new. You see it happening almost every day around the world, not just in the States. There have been cases in Canada. So if someone asked you, who are you? What would describe you? How would you describe yourself? Who you are? What is your identity? Forget about your faith. I'm a Christian. That comes later. Before you became a Christian, if somebody just asked you, who are you? What is your identity?
It's the same question.
Yeah.
Who are you too?
Yes. I'm asking you, how would you describe yourself? Who are you? Who am I? Let's describe. Let's talk. आप कौन हैं? अगर आपसे पूछा जाए आप कौन है, आपकी पहचान क्या है, तो आप अपने आप को कैसे डिस्क्राइब करेंगे, कैसे वर्णन करेंगे कि मैं कौन हूं, मेरी पहचान क्या है? कौन सी ऐसी चीजें हैं जिससे हम अपनी पहचान बनाते हैं? What are the things that we describe our identity with? These are my things, these are my traits, these are my attributes that make me who I am. What is it?
You want us to respond to that?
Yes, please.
Before we were Christians or now?
No, before you were Christians, or even now, you can say, but don't spiritualize it. Don't say, okay, I'm a child of God. Everybody knows you're a child of God. But who are you, Bev? Who are you, Chris? Nobody knows you on the street and they come up to you and they ask you, who are you? What is your identity? What comes to your mind? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a human being with rights.
Okay,
That's
you are a
kind of where I'm
human.
at right
Yeah,
now.
it is. You're right. And there are nothing, wrong or right answers. आप में से किसी के भी कोई गलत या सही सवाल नहीं है. So एक बहन ने हमें बताया कि वो एक व्यक्ति है और उस व्यक्ति के अधिकार हैं. She is a human being. She has rights. Anybody else?
I'm a sinner.
Okay, you're spiritualizing it. Huh?
An emotional, physical being.
Being, okay. All right, sure. एक महसूस करने वाले एक व्यक्ति हैं जो चीजों को महसूस करते हैं, सुनते हैं. ओके, व्हाट एल्स? Yeah.
You see what you see what you get.
Yeah, what is your identity?
I'm from India.
Okay, so you are Indian. That's what comes to your mind. Yeah, okay. आप भारतीय हैं और
Canada.
you're Canadian. So what does it mean that you are a Canadian? It's your nationality.
Well, I'm very blessed to live here, and like my ancestors are from here.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to hear. So if your ancestors are from here, how would you identify yourself? You are First Nation, I believe.
Yeah.
You are in the First Nations, then you further divide and further classify. How would you define yourself as a First Nation? Which of the First Nations are you?
I don't really define as that because I'm kind of mixed, but I'm very, very blessed because people behind us prospered this land, more than I can, that I've been blessed to be here.
Okay, let me press you further. Are you a Métis or are you somebody else?
Well, half Inuit and half.
Okay, half Inuit and half
British.
half British. Okay. Good.
French speaking a little bit.
Yeah, sure. That's what defines you. That's who you are. That's what you think you are.
That's geographically.
Okay, yeah, geographically, yes.
I'm Irish, Newfoundland,
Irish
and then
from
afterwards
Newfoundland
Canadian.
and
Now I'd identify as a Canadian.
as a Canadian
Yeah.
now. Okay, so the overarching nationality has taken over the other identities.
Right.
But if you go back and look within, you would say that I am an Irish,
A persecuted Irish.
a persecuted Irish. See,
Persecuted by
yeah,
English.
these are the things. I want these things to come out. A persecuted Irish. So there is an attribute. You're not just an Irish.
Ancestors were persecuted.
But your ancestors were persecuted. They were probably thrown out of Ireland, or they left.
They escaped.
They escaped. Yes. Okay. They escaped.
Started their own
That's what it defines you, who you are, and what makes you who you are. Okay. Good. Can we hear more of these stories? अब एक भाई ने बताया कि वो आयरलैंड के हैं, सताए हुए आयरिश हैं, जिनके पूर्वजों को सताया गया था, और वो आयरलैंड से बच करके यहाँ कनाडा में आ गए थे, लेकिन अब वो कनेडियन है. ओके, एनीबॉडी एल्स?
I don't, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I come from a country that was colonized by the British.
Okay. So how does that form your identity?
Well, my parents, they have seen that time where they saw, I don't know how to say that, slavery, I don't know, that's.
Okay. Yeah, so भारत देश में her mom
She came from Pakistan.
lived through what is normally called the partition, but it was in those days one of the greatest human tragedies, where millions of people were crisscrossing, and they were leaving Pakistan and coming to India, and many millions from India were going to Pakistan, and the creation, the birth of two nations, and the pain, the agony, and the deaths of hundreds and thousands of people, and persecution and bloodshed and all that. If you were to ask her mom, she will have vivid memories of all that. That's what forms her who she was, or she is. So if you were to ask her this question, who are you? Would she say she is a Pakistani, or would she say she's an Indian?
She says she's a Christian.
Yeah, if you ask her, she'll say she's.
Yeah. Those things may matter to people today, but because she was part of a united India, political circumstances forced her family to flee from Pakistan and come and become part of India. She identifies herself an Indian. So we have these complex things going on that form our identities. Yes. Anybody else?
Well, I would just say, I'm a Canadian and I belong here.
Okay.
I have that real strong sense that I belong here, I was born here,
Okay.
and I belong. Because sometimes I feel threatened on that one too, you know? I belong here.
Yeah.
Don't mess with me, I belong here.
Mhm.
And then as a Christian,
Yeah.
I am a pilgrim.
Okay.
And everybody that comes here and goes through all the process of citizenship has every as much right as I do.
Yeah.
So I have those two things that are working in me.
Right.
So yeah, you are a Canadian, you are a Christian pilgrim, and that's what defines you. Good. Brother Roger.
They ask me the question, kind of, it's, to me, it's a kind of too personal.
Yeah, that's
And
okay.
Sometimes I'm not comfortable with questions like this. And if ever the last problem, just say my name and just few information about myself. And I'll just say my name probably. That would be it. And it's just that I'm uncomfortable with the question. If I'm not straight up. And if they still want to ask more, okay, sure, let's go for a coffee.
So, okay, we are having coffee together. I'm asking you, does that still make you uncomfortable if I asked you, who are you?
Too personal question for me, so I'm uncomfortable with
Okay.
but if that's being asked, I'll just say my name.
Okay. What about so what defines you? Sometimes people say, what defines me is I am Caucasian, or I'm Asian, or I'm Indian, or I'm Métis, or I'm Irish. Sometimes people don't say I'm Caucasian, they say Irish, or I'm British. So these are bewildering questions. Yes, they are sometimes to many people uncomfortable questions. Sometimes they lead us to really some very deep-seated either fears or pride. It could be anything, but they also form our identities and tell us who we are and how we define ourselves. Now there are two things. इसमें ये जो पूछना है सवाल है, इसमें कई बातें हो सकती है. बहुत से लोग अपने आप को कलर के द्वारा से, कहाँ से आए हैं उस जगह से, कोई ज्योग्राफी की वजह से अपने आप को डिफाइन करते हैं. So there are two things. One is the self identity, how you define yourself. How do you think yourself, who you are? And the second is how others look at you. How do they define you? And sometimes they can clash. You define yourself as a Canadian, but others say you are a Caucasian. You define yourself as a Métis or Inuit, but others say you are a Canadian or something like that. Or nobody looks at you as a Newfoundlander, they just look at you as an Irish or something, or as Indian, or some people just say brown people or black people or white people. These are realities. Let's admit these are realities of this world that we are living in, and our faith must address these, and we must talk about these. And some people straight away define themselves and say, I'm so and so, I'm black, or I'm Asian, or I'm Indian, or I'm Caucasian, or this is my identity, this is what I am. Or some people refer to their ethnicity. That is, so what is the difference between race and ethnicity? We will come to it. Like she would say, I am half Inuit and half Métis. Or British, sorry. So Métis are half European and half native. So what does that make me? Does it make me a Brit, or does it make me Inuit, or does it make me just Canadian? These are some, oh, no, I don't want this to happen. My computer wants to restart now. Sorry about that. And if it goes, it goes. It's kind of frozen. So, when a black person, because of the color of his skin, is empowered by somebody who belongs to another color, skin, or race, or background, or ethnicity, what do we do? And if that happens, like it happened in the case of George Floyd. If you haven't watched that video, you must, as I'm telling you, because this is no ordinary thing happening. There is so many things going on. This man's who is in uniform, who has power, who has authority, who belongs to a different race, who identifies with a different race, and has the state-given power and authority, has his powerful knee forced on the neck of a person for about 8 minutes and 50 seconds. When the person underneath his knee is pleading, crying, saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. He's even calling out his mama's name, mama, mama. There are people How do we get these pictures? How do we get videos? There are people around who saw this, who were eyewitnesses, who were calling out police officers, say, can't you see he can't breathe? Can't you see that there are other ways? What you don't see is that there are other 3 police officers, 2 of them also with their knees on this man hidden behind the vehicle. And the other person is standing behind, protecting them from the crowd, the police, the public. But the public is recording. He, by the way, has been arrested, I think, today, or charged today. I don't know if he's arrested, I'm not sure, but this afternoon he was charged after 72 hours, after even video evidence and all that. What if there was no smartphone? What if there was nothing, no evidence, and this man died on the way to the hospital after, as soon as they put him in the ambulance, they were taken to the hospital, he had passed away. And there was no evidence. What would happen? Huh?
Lies.
Lies.
They get away with murder.
They will get away with murder. And as I said, this is not the only thing. And why it has to be always in black and white in the States or in Canada or in India. I mean, I'm singling out just this. ये केवल अमेरिका में, ये केवल भारत में, ये केवल कनाडा में नहीं हो रहा है, सब जगह हो रहा है. इन इंडिया, भारत में हमारे होता है जो हाई कास्ट लोग होते हैं और जो मजदूर गांव के बेसहारा लोग होते हैं, जो लो कास्ट होते हैं, और उनके साथ में क्या, दलितों के साथ में क्या व्यवहार करती है पुलिस. There is a community called, very similar community called in India called the Dalits. Disenfranchised, marginalized, the lowest of the lowest, outside the caste system, no rights, nothing. Well, Constitution gives them right, but practically police deals with them on a daily basis in such a manner as they did with George Floyd in Minneapolis. There is no difference, absolutely no difference. Anywhere you go. In Rwanda, you heard about the genocide of the Rwandans by their own African people, black people. You know about the Irish persecution we just heard. They were not persecuted by Africans. They were not persecuted by Americans. Who persecuted the Irish people?
British.
The British, white, Caucasian. Why would you think they will do that? Why would they identify themselves as powerful British white people, Caucasian people, whereas the Irish people are as white as the British? So why that clash? We need to think. So what is our identity? What is our ethnicity, my dear friends? It comes down to races. Though we did not mention that I am, somebody said I'm from India, so does that make me Indian? But that's not a race. There are thousands of Indians in India and in South Asia with exactly the same features and all kinds of things. We need to talk and learn about these things. It's a difficult conversation to have, but we shouldn't avoid it just because it's difficult. Now, let's honestly ask this question and answer this. How many races of people are there in this world? She says one. कितने वर्ण हैं, कितने तरह के लोग हैं इस दुनिया में? एक बहन कहती है कि एक है केवल, वो है one. What is that one race?
The human race.
The human race.
We're all one blood. Look at that.
Okay.
God created one race.
Okay, you guys always want to spiritualize things here. Okay.
Well, if you base on colors,
Yeah,
that belongs. I mean,
that's what I want to know.
red and yellow, black and white.
Yeah, yeah,
All are precious in his sight.
yeah.
Oh, you know, that's so big.
Jesus loves the little children.
No, I mean, that's what I mean. So when we talk about races, there's lots of races that we can.
Yes, so that there are lots of races. Okay. Here is one answer. There is only one race.
I had a question. I listened to something a little while ago, sort of about this, and he brought our attention to this verse in Scripture that speaks to races and to peoples and tribes having their own place. And that kind of like, wow, that's pretty amazing. That
Yeah.
maybe God did. That was His plan,
Mhm.
for us to be there and that's our home. That's where we stay.
Good. So the question is, which race out of all these different races did God create? Because we believe, our faith teaches us that God created humanity. God created the human beings. God created them through one couple, Adam and Eve. हमारे विश्वास, हमारी बाइबल ये बताती है कि परमेश्वर ने एक ही मनुष्य को बनाया, एक ही मनुष्य के द्वारा से पूरी मानव जाति को बनाया. तो जब वो मानव जाति की सृष्टि करी, तो वो कौन सी रेस थी? Which was the race, which was the color that God created, and out of which came the human race, humanity? Was it Caucasian? Was it black? Was it brown? Was it yellow? Or anything else?
The skin color came through the environmental factors, geographical factors, like people in Africa, they have a lot of exposure of sun.
Okay.
So they were all created same, but then, if I remember it correctly, somewhere in the Tower of Babel,
Yeah.
God wanted diversity. People were all same.
Mhm.
God wanted diversity, so that's where all these languages, all these things came about.
Languages.
So
Languages are different. How about the colors, skin, tone?
That just depends on how much melanin you have in your skin.
Okay. So that if my melatonin
No, melatonin is different. Melatonin is a hormone.
That's a good feeling.
if the tone of my skin
There you
is
go.
different from your skin, does that mean I am of a different race than you are?
In a perfect world, no.
No.
We don't live in a perfect world.
Yeah.
It's ethnicity.
God loves diversity.
Yes. Well, God loves diversity. So which one did He create originally?
I don't know.
What color were Adam and Eve?
What color were Adam and Eve?
Color of the dust. Because He took them from the earth. So
Yeah.
whatever black,
So
red,
what
red.
But you don't know what color the dust was.
what
'cause
color of the
sometimes-
dust was it? If it was in Edmonton, it was black.
They were the same as the race is brown. It's only light, or it's just along the as the
Different shades of
shades.
Yeah.
hues.
So which race did God create?
The human
Human
race.
race.
There is only one human race that God created, my dear friends. The race as we know it, as the distinct people groups with their traits and with their skin tones, that's a very modern concept. And with that modern concept has come the understanding that this race is superior and this race is lower, and this race doesn't belong here, and this race doesn't belong there. This is a modern, very, very modern concept. It wasn't there in the biblical times. The Bible teaches us, the Bible believes that the race that God created, the humanity that God created, the Bible says God created man and women, God created Adam, it means human race. It says humanity. It's not a name, individual name. It's humanity. What color it was doesn't matter, because the skin tone has been changed according to the geographical location of the humanity that God created over the centuries. as humanity spread from its original location, original creation to different parts of the world, which was also part of the plan of God. God dispersed them around the world. Wherever they grew up, they had these different skin tones and melatonin, or whatever you call it, that has developed over the years, over the centuries, by the location, by the sun you get, by the weather or the climate in which you grow up, and all those things. But race, as we know it, is a social construct. Means ये जो परमेश्वर ने बनाया है वो एक ही मानव जाति को बनाया, और उसके द्वारा से सब अलग अलग जगह में चले गए, और उन्होंने सबने अपने अलग अलग अपना स्किन का कलर जो होता चला गया, जहाँ जैसे रहते थे। जो लोग सूरज के नजदीक में रहते थे उनका काला होता चला गया, जो सूरज से थोड़ा दूर रहते थे, ठंड का मौसम था, बर्फ का मौसम था, उनकी स्किन जो है वो थोड़ी लाइटर हो गई। लेकिन जो 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 रेस है, वर्ण है, जो परमेश्वर ने किसी को वर्णों में नहीं बनाया। गॉड डिड नॉट क्रिएट पीपल एज कॉकेशियंस, ब्लैक, एशियंस, or Métis or Inuit or anything else. No, he did not. The Bible doesn't teach us. Now, this is a very fundamental thing that we as Christians need to understand and believe, because majority of the Christians around the world that I have interacted with, and I teach this course called Cultural Anthropology. In a seminary right here, I was teaching a course full of 32 people, majority of them Caucasians, had hard time believing, and I had hard time convincing them, and some of them did not convince, were not convinced even after the course, the semester course was done, that the fundamental thing, there are no races. There is only one race, human race. Science is supportive of the biblical evidence that there are no races. Because if you study biology, if you study genomes, if you study genes and how the genes transform and all that, the biology supports the belief that there is only one human race. What happened in the 18th century, during the high time, the peak of colonialism, when the European anthropologists and scientists were going around the world and doing their studies, they encountered these different kinds of people. They encountered people who were just the opposite of them. They were very, very pale and white, and they encountered some people who were completely black as night, and they encountered people yellow, they encountered people Asians, they encountered all kinds of people. So they categorized falsely humanity into different races, from which came the teaching and the understanding that certain races with certain traits, certain skin tones, have a higher intellect, higher IQ, abilities, and all that, compared to those who are black, or those who are brown, or those who are other things. Now, those kinds of anthropological views and theories have been discarded by the scientists all over the world. Nobody believes in them anymore if you are a real scientist. But some Christians persist in this, believing that there are different races and God has created some people superior, some people powerful, some people more intellectual than others, some people with than others, intellectual, physical, and otherwise. Those things do not support biblical understanding, our theology, neither do they support or are supported by science and biology and DNA research and genome research and all that you take it. Nobody understands that. ये सारी बातें 18वीं सदी में शुरू हुई, और बहुत से जो साइंटिस्ट थे जो दुनिया में जाके गए और उन्होंने ये पता लगाया कि अलग अलग तरह के लोग हैं, तो उन्होंने अलग अलग क्लासिफाई कर दिया, अलग अलग क्लास के लोग बना दिए कि ये ऐसे हैं, ये ऐसे, उनमें अलग अलग ट्रेट्स हैं। लेकिन ये बाइबल के अनुसार सत्य नहीं है। बाइबल में केवल एक ही मानव जाति का वर्णन किया गया है। एक ही है, चाहे उनके कलर डिफरेंट हो, उनकी स्किन की टोन डिफरेंट हो, लेकिन उनको अलग अलग बायोलॉजी के द्वारा से, साइंस के द्वारा से हम अलग नहीं कर सकते, ना उनको हम बता सकते हैं कि अलग हैं। Now, because of these 18th century scientists and anthropologists with their pseudoscience, we came up with these ideas, and that resulted in Nazism, that resulted in the genocide of the Jewish people. Why? Because they were convinced that the Aryan race, the Nazi race, the German race was far superior to the Jewish race. And the Jewish race were a different race altogether. They were a different kind of people. They were not even deserving of human treatment. They should not have the right to even live on this earth. They should be eliminated completely from the earth. Why? Because some people believed there was a race higher and superior to them. And only they should be allowed to live, and not only live, but procreate on this earth, so that they can eliminate all diseases and develop a superior Superman kind of a race. That's the Aryan race. That did not stop with Nazism. That has continued. That, as I said, happened in Rwanda, because they believed that they were lower and others were superior. That has happened, and it continues to happen in India, where the Brahmins think of themselves as part of the Aryan race, the same that Nazis belonged to. And they think of themselves, they are superior because they have a lighter skin, they are more intellectual, they are educated, and they should rule, they should have the power and the authority. And others, those who were the native inhabitants of India, they are black in color or brown in color, and therefore they assumed and believed that these people have no intellect, they have no power, no authority, they are made to be always subservient and serve the other people. It's not limited to any one geographical area. The Bible does not support this kind of thinking at all. Christians should be the first people to denounce all these things, false teachings and false science, and believe what the Bible teaches. That we create this race, how we teach our children, what we teach them, what we tell them, how do we raise them up, with what values we raise them up. हम कैसे अपने बच्चों को पढ़ा रहे हैं, हम क्या उनको सिखा रहे हैं, किन के साथ में पढ़ा रहे हैं, क्या चीज कर रहे हैं, ये सोशल कंस्ट्रक्ट है, हमारी सोसाइटी ये बनाती है इस चीज को. Let's look at some of the verses in the Bible. Genesis chapter 1 verses 27 to 28. आइए कुछ बाइबल में से वचनों को हम निकालेंगे और उसमें से देखेंगे कि बाइबल में हमें क्या पढ़ाया गया है, सिखाया गया है. उत्पत्ति की किताब, उसका पहला अध्याय 27 और 28 पद. The Bible informs us in Genesis 1 chapter 1 and 27 and 28. So God created man in his own image. The word man, Adama, means God created humanity in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female he created. So some people, there are some Christians actually, who believe only man, not woman, was created in the image of God. Verse 27, male and female he created them, and they were created in the image of God. And that is humanity. And then God blessed them, that is Adam and Eve, or the humanity, male and female. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the heavens and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So from when they were created, they spread around the world, And because of geographical reasons, not because of biological reasons, but because of geographical reasons, because of the sun, because of the dirt, because of the proximity to the sun or the distance from the sun, because of the snow, because of their living conditions, they developed over the centuries different skin tones. Does that mean over the centuries their races changed or they multiplied different races? No, they remained the same, the human race. Chapter 2 and verse पहला अध्याय उसके 27 और 28वें पद में हमने देखा कि परमेश्वर ने केवल मनुष्य जाति को बनाया और उस मनुष्य जाति में पूरी मनुष्य जाति को अपने स्वरूप और अपने समानता में बनाया. God created human race in the image of God. So when we say he created them in the image of God, what does that mean? Image does not mean the physical appearance. God has no features like me. But I am created, you are created in the image of God means whatever are the best attributes of God, he has given them to humanity. He has given them to man and woman. That is, he is a creative God. He can create things. I have that ability. God has given that ability to me as I am created in the image of God. We create things. I'm using a computer here. I have a cell phone which is better than my laptop actually. Yes, it has a 12 GB RAM. My computer has only 8 GB RAM or 6 GB RAM. This one has internal memory 256 GB. I can take tons of pictures. Man has created this. Man has the ability to think, to imagine, to create, and also procreate. Man has the ability. All these things are part of the image of God. Not only the intellect, but I have a spirit. I'm a spiritual being because God is spirit. And he has created me in his image. So I long for him and to have a spiritual fellowship with him. परमेश्वर ने ना केवल मुझे शारीरिक रूप से बुद्धिमानी के रूप से मुझे क्रिएटिव बनाया है, परंतु मुझे आत्मिक भी बनाया है. मुझे परमेश्वर ने आध्यात्मिक भी बनाया, इसलिए मैं आध्यात्मिक बातों को ढूंढता हूं, उनको ढूंढना चाहिए. This is part of my creation as created in the image of God. Is there anybody else? Is there anybody on this earth, any race, any people, any ethnicity which is not created in the image of God? No, not one. कोई ऐसा नहीं है. Is there any person, however evil they may be, who is not created in the image of God? No. चाहे कोई कितना भी दुष्ट हो, वो भी परमेश्वर की स्वरूप में बनाया गया है. As a Christian, I must value that. As a Christian, my attitude to others should reflect that the other person is also created in the image of God as I am. Whatever be their tone, skin tone, features, does not matter. First and foremost, they are created in the image of God. Every male, every female on this earth. Amen?
Amen.
Chapter 2, verse 18. दूसरा अध्याय उत्पत्ति का उसका 18वां पद.
Then the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him."
Okay, so number 2, God has created us to be in company. That means to live with others, not to be alone. Not just in terms of marriage, but in terms of company, fellowship. God wants. Somebody said we are created as social animals. I wouldn't say animals. We are no more social animals. We are social beings. Human beings who are meant to live in society. परमेश्वर ने हमें दूसरों के साथ में रहने के लिए बनाया है. Verse 21 to 23, chapter 2, उत्पत्ति 2 का 21 से 23 तक.
So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and while he slept, took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man."
Okay, couple of things here. Number one, God, when he created human beings, every one of them had the same class, or if you want to call it race, same class, same ethnicity, same race, and same essence. What made human beings? The image of God, physical, spiritual. Everything that was the essence of God or the essence of humanity was same. Now, if you look at agrobiology and zoology, and if you understand, if you read them, every species reproduces its own specific kind. If I sow a mango tree, I cannot reap guavas from it. It will reproduce only mangoes. If I sow seeds of wheat, and if I like rice more, I cannot reap rice. That's not just possible. In the same way, the humanity that was created, and they were created to reproduce, they can only reproduce what they are made of, their own essence, their own genes. You cannot have something else. So when we believe according to the Bible, the whole humanity was reproduced from these men and women that God created in his own image, with the same class, same race, same essence, same color, everything was the same. So when they reproduced, they did not create any other kind of humanity. They did not create any other kind of race. They did not create any other kind of ethnicity. They were the same people. And they continued. What changed over the years is only the outer skin tone. Nothing. And also because of their geography, because of their eating habits, because of the climate, their physique changed. Some became tall, some remained small, short, but these are not the things that will change one's race. These are physical things. The essence remains the same because these people scientifically can produce only the same kind. Chapter 5 verse 2, हमने अभी बताया, हमने देखा कि प्रभु ने जब बनाया मनुष्य को तो उसको अपने स्वरूप में बनाया और अपने उनको रिप्रोड्यूस यानी कि पैदा करने के लिए दिया. तो जो भी पैदा करते हैं वो केवल अपना ही जैसा पैदा करते हैं. यदि आप आज गेहूं बोएंगे तो गेहूं काटेंगे, चावल नहीं काट सकते. यदि आप आज आम का पेड़ लगाएंगे तो उसमें से कल अमरूद के फल नहीं ले सकते. इसी तरह से मनुष्य ने जब आपस में एक दूसरे को रिप्रोड्यूस किया, जब बच्चे पैदा किए तो उनसे उनकी रेस नहीं बदल गई, उनकी जाति और वर्ण नहीं बदल गया, लेकिन मानव जाति उसमें रही. 5 अध्याय का उत्पत्ति 5 का 2, 5:2.
Male and female he created them, and he blessed them and named them men when they were created.
Okay, let's read from verse 1. This is the book of the generation of Adam, whom when God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. Male and female also, he created them, and he blessed them and named them man when they were created. And in my Bible, I have a footnote for man. And it says, Hebrew is Adam. He named them Adam, which means humanity, the whole human race. So there is this concept in the Bible constantly telling us there is only one human race and no other race. Malachi chapter 2 and verse 15, Matthew chapter 19 and verse 4, Mark chapter 10 and verse 6. All of these tell us almost the same thing. You can pick up any one of them and read it. Different people can read these scriptures. Malachi की पुस्तक उसका 2 अध्याय 15 पद, मत्ती की पुस्तक उसका 19 अध्याय का 4 पद और मरकुस की पुस्तक उसका 10 अध्याय का 6 पद. Anybody?
Malachi 2:15.
Uh-huh.
Has not the one God made you? You belong to him in body and spirit. And what does the Lord, the one God, seek? Godly offspring.
Godly offspring.
Yes.
So if we who are created by God in one race, how will that offspring be? Same way, because we can produce only of our own kind. And that is godly offsprings. That is, who have spirit, who have the image and the likeness of God. Okay? Matthew 19:4 and Mark 10:6.
Matthew 19:4. Haven't you read the scriptures? Jesus replied. The record that from the beginning God made them male and female.
Yeah, it is repeated often. Okay? मार्क 10:6, ये बार बार यही बताया गया है कि परमेश्वर ने अपने स्वरूप में, अपनी समानता में और पुरुष और स्त्री के रूप में पूरी मानव जाति बनाया है. Anybody else?
No, 10:6, from the beginning of creation,
Hmm.
God made them male and female.
Yes. So why is the stress on male and female? Because of the reproduction, because of the blessing for procreation that God gave them. It is for this reason God made them male and female. So there is this lots of teaching, lots of misinformation, lot of bad theology going around the world about gender and all those roles and different things. How can you solve that? Go back to the Bible. Why did God create mankind in his own image and in his own likeness? And why did he create them male and female? Because he wanted them to procreate and fill the earth and to reproduce godly offsprings. That is the purpose of these different genders and one race.
And would you not say that at the end of that, all of that glorifies God?
Yes, it does. And if we remain true to the likeness and the image of God in us and reproduce. Now, some people would say, okay, that was the original plan. What happened about after the fall? Everything came under curse and everything changed after that. So, after the fall, have we changed? Is the fact that God created humanity only in one race with two genders, is that fact changed? No. If you go back to हम जो गुनाह के बाद से सब कुछ बदल गया, बहुत से लोग कहते हैं, लेकिन ऐसा हम नहीं देखते हैं. गुनाह के बाद भी उत्पत्ति 3 अध्याय में जो गुनाह हुआ उसके बाद भी अगर हम पढ़ें उत्पत्ति 5 में, after the fall, chapter 5 describes after the fall. This is the book of generations of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. The likeness of God, the image of God continues in humanity. Male and female, he created them. The two gender theory that the Bible talks about continues after the fall. And he blessed them. Blessings of God continues after the fall. And named them humanity or mankind when they were created. There is only one. Verse 2. That did not change. That fact did not change after the fall. When Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his what? Was it a different race? So after 130 years, when Adam reproduced, and it is after the fall, he is a sinful man now, he's cursed by God, the earth is cursed by God. So the humanity also must change. The procreated humanity that Adam and Eve produced must have been a different kind of a species. Was it? No.
In his own life.
In his own likeness.
After his
आदम और हवा ने गुनाह के बाद भी उत्पत्ति 3 के द्वारा से जो गुनाह में गिरा, उसके बाद उनको सता हुआ, उनको बाद उनको निकाल दिया गया, पूरी सृष्टि पर परमेश्वर का श्राप हुआ, आदम के पास भी श्राप हुआ। लेकिन ये सारी चीजें 5वें अध्याय के उत्पत्ति के 1 से 3 पद में जो हम देखते हैं वो बनी रही और वो आज तक बनी हुई है। Those things haven't changed. If they did not change after the fall, they did not change over the centuries. We can reproduce, male and female can reproduce by the blessings of God, only of our own kind. If we were created in the image of God, we will produce in our own likeness, that is the same race, same thing. So the ethnicities and people groups, they are social groups, not biological differences. Society over the years has developed, culture over the years has developed into different kinds. So people who moved out of what God created here in Genesis, they developed their different races and, sorry, not races, their different cultures, their different societies and their different norms. When we come to Genesis chapter 10, उत्पत्ति की किताब उसके 10वें अध्याय में जब हम आते हैं, now Adam and Eve have grown up to be a large family. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. And verse 5 says, from these, from who? Adam and Eve. From the humanity that God created in his own image. The coastland people spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans, in their nations. So the nationality that you were talking about, I'm a Canadian, I am Irish, did not change your original essence by which God created you. These nations, your nationalities, your clans, your tribes, your Inuit, your Métis, your this or that, your language, your skills, your social skills, your habits, your cooking, your food habits, they did change, but it did not change the way God created you. You are still a human being created in the image of God. Again, if we keep reading this verse, chapter 10 and verse 5, ये जो 10वें अध्याय के 5वें पद में लिखा है, सारे अलग अलग इंसान जो है पूरी दुनिया पे फैल गए और वो उन्होंने अपने अपने अलग लोग बना लिए. It is repeated several times in this book for each of the sons of Adam, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. For example, read verse 20. These are the sons of Ham by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Political nations, tribes, clans, all these social groups developed as they spread out around the world, but they remain the same in the image of God, every one of them. And it is written the same way it is written about Shem in verse 31. These are the sons of Shem by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. These are the clans of the sons of Noah according to their genealogies in their nations, and from spread abroad on the earth after the flood. After the flood, which was a judgment of God, after the fall, the fact remains there was only one race, the human race that God created in his own image, in his own likeness, and they reproduced in their own likeness, as chapter 5 verse 1 says, and 1 to 3. My dear friends, humanity has not changed, the human race has not changed. So how does God deal with humanity is our question. God willing, we will take it up later sometime if God permits. What is God's attitude to humanity even after he selected one group of people, not one race, one group of people, Israel? How did he deal with them? And how did he deal with the rest of the humanity? What is his attitude? How he deals with the different races that we believe in today? We will look at that next week, God willing. परमेश्वर हमारी सहायता करे इन वचनों के द्वारा से। परमेश्वर स्वयं अपनी बनाई हुई ये मनुष्य जाति से किस प्रकार से व्यवहार करता है, अलग अलग लोगों से, अलग अलग प्रकार के लोगों से, with different people, with the different races that we believe in, with different ethnicities that we believe in, with different identities that we have, with different skin tones that we have, different cultures that we have developed, different attributes that we have developed. How does God deal with them? Does he deal differently, or does he deal with them same way? God willing, we will look at it next week. परमेश्वर कैसे व्यवहार करता है इसके ऊपर हम अगले दफा विचार करेंगे। परमेश्वर आपको आशीष दे। यदि आपका कोई सवाल है तो अभी पूछ सकते हैं या आप कमेंट में लिख सकते हैं, हम उसको उत्तर देने की कोशिश करेंगे। गॉड ब्लेस, टेक केयर, बाय।
That was really good. Yeah, that was a better one.